Good evening. Welcome to our August 23rd board meeting. Mr. Hernandez, before you sit down, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Thank you.
Pam, could you please note that all are present with the exception of Ms. Robles, who is at home recuperating from a little stumble she took, and the doctor has her quarantined for 5 weeks, 5 more weeks. We hope you have a quick recovery, Ms. Robles. Item 1.4, approval minutes, February 27th, 2017, August 12th, 2017, June 28th, 2017, July 26th, 2017, July 26th, regular meeting, 2017, and August 10th, 2017.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any questions?
Nope.
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis? Aye. Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye. Open forum, we have Ms. Gomez, Maria Gomez. Good evening, Ms. Gomez.
Good evening, Mr. Fierro, members of the board, Dr. Serrata, members of the audience. My name is Maria Gomez. I am a reading faculty member at El Paso Community College. I am also very actively involved in a lot of things, in particular, the accreditation process. I handle the student learning outcomes of our academic programs. Both of my jobs are very challenging, and I want to tell you that I love them. I do like my job here at El Paso Community College. The purpose of my being up here in the open forum is that I am a member of the Faculty Association. And I first of all want to thank Karina Ramirez, Dr. Ramirez, for her service to the faculty, the number of years that she served as our Faculty Association president and the Faculty Senate. But I'm also here as a courtesy to a colleague, because she was elected in April, in late spring, and her name has not been mentioned formally to you. You might have heard who was elected, but not formally at this setting. I did not hear it. I've been here at all of the meetings, and I did not hear her name. So I felt it was my responsibility, or someone's responsibility, to give a courtesy introduction. It's a courtesy in terms of words of kindness, and also there's a historical involvement of the Faculty Association. Now, internal and external factors provide the faculty to have a role in governance. When I'm referring to internal factors, I'm referring to our college policies and our college procedures, which ask that the faculty be involved in the governance procedure. External is our accrediting agency. They have a statement in their guidelines that the faculty be involved in governance. Thus, we have the Faculty Association, but we also have committee work that allows us to participate in decision-making process of this institution. I would like to give you a brief history of how this governance has evolved. When El Paso Community College first opened its doors and hired the faculty, the president at that time, Dr. Los Santos, created a joint faculty senate style of governance. Now, this is interesting. Joint in that it was composed of administrators and faculty. Where else would you have had something like that? Faculty and administrators working together to decide on policy and procedure and to decide on the future direction of the college. Then, in around 1976, an acting president dissolved that particular entity, the Joint Faculty Senate. When Dr. Shepak was hired as our president, he drafted a faculty association bylaws document that formed us. It's just Faculty Association, not the Senate. And I was elected its first secretary. I have served as secretary of the Faculty Association Senate under at least six different presidents. There have been many presidents that have come and gone. Now, the faculty play a vital role in the governance system of this institution. It is our responsibility to help out. It is our responsibility where we bring in our expertise, we bring in our experience, we bring in our ideas to help govern this institution. Now, in April of 2017, the faculty held elections to elect the next president of the Faculty Association for the next cycle, 2017-2019. Ms. Rebecca Bell, a speech instructor, was elected by the faculty to be our next president. Now, as I mentioned, Rebecca is a speech instructor, so you will have a different style of presentation. She will not be timid in standing before an audience. I'm not saying that others have been timid. I personally feel timid right now, but she has background in speech and getting in front of people. She also has another interesting background. She was going to study law. Her undergraduate degree is in law, pre-law. And so she knows policy, and she loves to get involved in policy and dealing with the regulations that are out there. She has been an active faculty member since 2003. Like her predecessors, and there have been many, Rebecca understands that the Faculty Association president has a leadership role whereby all faculty at EPCC, whether credit or non-credit, coming from all campuses, they form a body and they have a voice, and she will lead that body, and she will lead that voice. Rebecca is igniting excitement. She's reflecting another era, a new achievement. It's a birth of some kind in certain respects. And so that is why I'm here. I'm here as an act of kindness, an act of courtesy, to give Rebecca a recognition. She will come up later and address you as is her role, but that was my purpose. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is anyone else here to speak under open forum? No? Okay.
Item 1.7, presentations by individuals, groups, and organizations. Item 1.7.1, Dr. William Serrata, college president, will recognize individuals who have retired from the college district.
Chair Fierro and members of the board, this time of the year is always bittersweet in that it's sweet in that we're starting a new semester and a new academic year, welcoming thousands of new students to the institution as well as returning students. And it's bitter because this is the time of year we see more retirements than any. And so I have 5 individuals that I would like to recognize for their many years of service at the institution. I'm going to begin with Mr. Barry Sample, if he can come up and join me, Mr. Sample. Thank you. Mr. Sample. Mr. Barry Sample began his career at El Paso Community College on February 1st, 1991 as an educational development assistant in the curriculum office. He worked across the disciplines with developing courses and preparing courses for online teaching. He's most enjoyed evaluating the career and technical programs using the DACM, developing a curriculum method. The DACM process has allowed him to have an influence on students and community members who participate as DACM panelists. Working with DACM panels has been dynamic and challenging. Mr. Sample is an El Paso native, graduated from Austin High School, and graduated with a bachelor's degree in secondary education from UTEP. He was also certified as a DACM facilitator by, the Ohio State University in 1996. Mr. Sample is thankful for the opportunities El Paso Community College has given him to develop as an educator and a person. He will enjoy his retirement along with his wife Debbie and daughter Colleen, both registered nurses. The curriculum office will miss him tremendously, as will the college as a whole. Mr. Sample, thank you for your tireless dedication and strong work ethic.
You can come over here and take a picture.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Next, I'd like to recognize Mr. Rogelio Chavarria. If you can join me, Mr. Chavarria. He's too young. You look too young. He's served El Paso Community College for 29 years teaching English as a second language. Rogelio said these years have been the most fulfilling, exciting, and challenging years of his career. ESL students are hardworking and respectful of their goals to learn English in order to assume a positive role in American society and take courses that prepare them for college and university coursework. He is a native of El Paso as well, graduated from Burgess High School, we're gonna have a rivalry before tonight's over, and completed his bachelor's and master's degrees, both from the University of Texas at El Paso. He loves to travel, and after retirement plans to enjoy more time with his family, his wife Dolores, a special education and bilingual teacher at EPISD, and his daughter Melissa, a webmaster for New Mexico State University, who received her doctorate degree. Congratulations. He is thankful and truly blessed to have worked for an excellent college. Keep up the great work. These are his words to us. Thank you, Mr. Chavarria, for all your efforts on behalf of the staff and students at El Paso Community College.
Thank you for all your hard work. Have a good one.
Mr. Armendariz, I know that you helped us with the pledge, but will you please join me as well at the podium? Mr. Carlos Armendariz, another El Paso native who earned his Bachelor's of Arts degree in History and Sociology from the University of Texas at El Paso, a Master's of Social Work degree from the University of Michigan, and later continued doctoral studies in adult education through Texas A&M University. The right Aggies, Mr. Uxer. After graduating from the University of Michigan, Mr. Armendariz came back to El Paso and worked at El Paso Community College from 1974 to 1977 as the field supervisor for the University Year for Action program, UYA, which was the foundation program from Human Services, now known as the Social Work program. In fact, he taught the first social work course, which had an enrollment of 4 students. Due to the end of the federal funding for the program, the position was eliminated in 1985. Mr. Armendariz returned to El Paso Community College as a career transfer counselor. Not only did he work with students on transfer and career issues, but also organized and implemented transfer seminars and career days for each of the 4 campuses at the time. In addition to his transfer career duties, he assisted with general counseling and was the college's recruiter before we had a recruitment office, and would go to churches, housing projects, high schools, social service agencies, and businesses speaking to groups about the college. After working as a career transfer counselor, he worked as a special services counselor with the PASS program and went on later to become a counselor liaison for the ESOL Communications Division, Architecture, Drafting, Arts, Math, and Science Division, and most recently as the Career and Technical Education Division and the Advanced Technology Center. He was the co-founder of the EPCC Honors Program, wrote the original proposal, and developed the initial honors program procedure, and he served as the honor program coordinator for 9 years. He was appointed by former EPCC President Dr. Adriana Barrera as the college's representative to the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board's Advisory Committee on the core curriculum for a 2-year period and assisted in the implementation of the core curriculum at EPCC. Because of his familiarity with the core curriculum, he was appointed to serve on the District Curriculum Committee where he served for 13 years. Kudos. He organized and implemented the first EPCC UTEP Counselor Advisory Workshop together with the UTEP, a special assistant to the president at the time. And these workshops were conducted twice a year now and focus on academic and other issues that affect both institutions. He assisted with the development of the Education 1300 course, the Learning Frameworks course, and was a classroom instructor for this course. He worked on the redevelopment of the petition for academic suspension form, as well as assisted with the revision of the procedure on academic suspension, which is currently in place. He's a published author of several academic articles. Above all, Mr. Anbaderi's accomplishments at the college, the most rewarding was working with students, their hopes and dreams, and more importantly, seeing his students succeed. In his new role as a retiree, he and his wife of 40 years are planning to enjoy family, especially their granddaughters, traveling near and far, relaxing, reading, researching, and writing. Thank you so much, Mr. Armendariz, for your 33 years of service at El Paso Community College. Ms. Mary L. Mooney, would you please join me? Ms. Mary Mooney has served El Paso Community College for 35 years as a full-time faculty and instructional coordinator for the Sign Language Interpreter Preparations Program. She is one of only 3 Texas certified legal interpreters and provides her services to municipal, county, and federal courts in our community. During her tenure, she wrote and directed the National Multicultural Interpreter Project, NMIP, federally funded grant project of over $2 million. The project placed EPCC as the Center for Development of Comprehensive Curricula that focused on serving the needs of multilingual and multicultural deaf persons in the U.S. Professor Mooney was a consultant for the development of a literacy project for Hispanic deaf students at EPCC. She was an initial member of the Texas Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing's Trilingual Interpreter Task Force and active in the organizational development of Mano a Mano Incorporated, a national organization of interpreters working in Spanish-influenced settings. She has done many presentations at the international, national, and state level, and has published articles and chapters in several books, as well as documenting the NMIP's project significance in the Encyclopedia of Deaf Culture. She has developed over 24 multilingual instructional videotapes and collaborated with Santa Fe Community College to write, direct, and produce mental health videos geared to issues in the Mexican-American deaf community. She took a leadership role in initiating the EPCC to UTEP transfer program for the sign language graduates, which was just approved. Congratulations. She's received great career support from her spouse, Mark, over the last 41 years, and is the mother of Heather, an amazing adult daughter with Down syndrome, who's served as a self-advocate and attended classes at EPCC, and an amazing son, Greg, who's an aerospace engineer in California. She looks forward to this time of transition to develop some other interests, to provide interpreter education workshops nationally and internationally, and to continue to advocate for the rights of all persons with disabilities for equal access. Thank you so much, Ms. Mooney, for your 35 years of service to El Paso Community College. And don't let Judge Haggerty get you to go to his court for free.
Thank you.
Thanks, we'll talk later. Congratulations, thank you.
Those of you that were at our grand opening of our architecture building will recognize this last gentleman. I'm happy to recognize one more very important individual, Mr. Ken Gorski. Mr. Gorski, if you can join me, please. Mr. Gorski recently retired from El Paso Community College after being on the architecture faculty for more than 15 years. Mr. Gorski's vision and commitment to the program has been unmatched. He is a licensed architect who has been involved with architecture organizations locally, regionally, and nationally. And he has been a critical player in developing this partnership and has been an active voice for EPCC's architecture program and our students. Mr. Gorski was instrumental in ensuring the grant and executing that grant to the building that we just opened. A few of our board members were able to make it. Those who were not able to make it we will set up a tour so that you can see the amazing building that was brought to fruition by Mr. Gorski's and others' vision. I guess we opened the building and he decided that baby, who he claims is his child, one of his children, is finally opening. His wife and I are trying to convince him to come back and serve as an adjunct for a couple of courses in that building now that it's up and running. He is a licensed architect from the state of Texas, number 6477, professor of architecture and tenured from El Paso Community College. He had a professional degree in architecture from the University of Kansas, a member of Congress for the New Urbanists member, committee member in 2017 for the field of study architecture by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board member, was the architecture district-wide coordinator at El Paso Community College, was also an adjunct professor of architect for Texas Tech University. Too many memberships and organizations to name, save to say that he has been a visionary and was instrumental in us not only receiving the grant, executing the grant, but finally opening that incredible building on the Valle Verde campus. Mr. Gorski, thank you so much for your vision and for honoring El Paso Community College with 16 years of service.
Congratulations.
The one you had the other day was cool.
You got good style, thank you for
Item 1.7.2, optional presentations will be made by the presidents of the Classified Staff Association, the Professional Staff Association, the Faculty Association, and the Student Government Association.
Good evening, welcome.
Good evening. Greetings to the Board President, Mr. Fierro, Board members, Dr. Serrata. I'm representing the Professional Staff Association. My name is Leticia Urenda, And I would like to start with our presentation by, we would like to thank the board and Dr. Serrata for their salary enhancement undertakings. PSA's previous presentation to the board to request the 4% salary enhancement for employees remains. We have received positive feedback from Dr. Serrata during our meetings with him and have discussed with him our last month's proposal for a one-time $1,000 longevity award to employees who have served the college for many years but did not benefit from the last year's salary survey. We applaud Dr. Serrata for being the exceptional El Paso Community College president, whose annual goal has been to place salary increases for employees into every annual budget. In conjunction with this goal, PSA would like to continue emphasizing and supporting the recommendation from the consultant in providing employees annual salary adjustments and avoiding future salary compression. Thank you, Dr. Serrata. On another subject matter, PSA continues to work vigorously at our Student Scholarship Fund through the upcoming Fall Festival for raising funds. We appreciate the community and students who participate and support our events. We continue with our PSA popcorn sales, the proceeds of which support student scholarships. We will be contacting our fall semester students to solicit for their scholarships application. PSA conducted a vice president and secretary officer election. We are happy to introduce Ms. Gracie Arribas as our vice president and Ms. Michelle Chavez as our secretary. Gracie is in the audience. Ms. Arribas? Emma Hernandez is our treasurer, and myself as president for PSA completes the officer panel. We would like to thank Ms. Lori Hoffner for her dedication and service to our association in numerous events, tasks, presentations, participation, and input to our employees and salaries activities. She will, of course, still be actively involved with PSA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Good evening. Welcome, Ms. Bell.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Bell. I am the incoming president for the Faculty Association. Tonight, it is my honor to represent the faculty of EPCC and to fill some very, very large shoes. For the past 20 years, my association has been ably represented by Dr. Carolina Ramirez, and tonight we stand very much recipients of her legacy. Thank you,
Congratulations.
This week is a time of transition for my association. We are saying goodbye to faculty who truly built the college. They are the shoulders of giants that we stand on, and we thank them for their service. We also welcome many new faculty to our ranks, and I invite and welcome new officers to my association. Tonight, I don't only get to introduce myself, but also my vice president, Ms. Melissa Aguilera. Ms. Aguilera is a NISOD recipient for 2017, and we are also represented and assisted by Ms. Celeste Pavala, who is beginning her 9th year of service as secretary to my association. Unfortunately, Mr. Rudy Hernandez, who is the full-time vice president, could not be here tonight, but he also sends his regards and his deep desire to work with everyone in the future. Tonight, I wanted to not just introduce myself, but also to talk about the faculty that I represent and their work that I have the honor of sharing with you. I know that tonight we have many considerations concerning resourcing your faculty, and I want you to know how your money will be spent and how it is invested in our work. because throughout this week I've heard stories, and I could tell you so many, but there were two that stood out to me. One is, of course, the work of Mr. John Olguin and Dr. De La O, who organized the Eclipse event at Trans Mountain on Monday. They were just simply inspired by their work and the desire to have some way to bring the community into our campus and share their passion for the stars. And that's what they did. They put on an event, they provided snacks like chips, they invited a bunch of kids, the community, they put a bunch of telescopes on the lawn, and we all watched a celestial event. One of the children that was there was a really good friend of mine's son. And he's 12 years old, and I think everyone can forgive a 12-year-old for viewing education as something that happens to them rather than through him. But he was one of the children that got a bag of chips, and quite frankly, I think we undervalue the power of Doritos. That night he called me and said, Rebecca, I have decided to go to college, and I'm going to study science with Mr. Olguin because he has cool telescopes and the best stuff. Mr. Olguin wrote in the story of my friend's son. He's a story writer, and he changed the narrative. Now education is something that happens through my friend's son, not just to him. And Mr. Olguin and Dr. O are not alone. I also want to tell you the story of Miss Crystal Roberts, who is the faculty advisor for a student organization called the Gay and Straight Alliance. Over the past year, politics and turmoil have caused many populations inside of the United States to experience some fear and wonder about what the future would hold for them. Ms. Roberts has been fielding phone calls from not only prospective students, but also their parents, asking the question, will my student, will I, be welcome and wanted at EPCC? She could simply say yes, but that's not how Crystal rolls. Crystal went and contacted faculty around her campus and around the district and said, we need to build a network and begin to have conversations about how to build a culture of inclusion and diversity that tells everyone, yes, you are absolutely wanted. She was able to introduce students who were enrolling to their instructors well before the classes began, to have those conversations of how do you find my classroom, and here's where you're going to sit, and here's who I am, and here's the textbook, and yes, we want you here. And I really do appreciate all the ways that our leadership and administration celebrate the programs and the projects that faculty engage in every day. Dr. Serrata is so wonderful at singing our song and telling our stories. But a lot of the work that faculty does is much like I just told you of these 3 faculty members. It's just every day. And these stories, I think, are a little bit invisible. It is the story of people who just pick up the pen and start writing a story and telling a student, we want you here. Come study with us. They take their hand and they bring them into our world. And as we talk about student success, I truly believe that it is that every day that builds the most profound and powerful bridge. So as you consider resourcing your faculty tonight, and as I have the opportunity and honor to work with each of you in the future at building opportunities and bridges, I want the faces that you see not just to be these beautiful women who are up here with me, but to also remember the story of John and Crystal and Dr. O, and realize that your faculty are amazing people who truly are story writers. And the story they want to tell is changing the educational direction of the students of El Paso. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to working with each of you.
Thank you.
Item 1.8, communications, none. Item 1.9, Board of Trustees business. Item 1.9.1, the Board of Trustees will deliberate on agreeing to a minor boundary modification application to Foreign Trade Zone number 68 to include a distribution facility of gamer logistics and to delete an identified site which is no longer suitable for use in Foreign Trade Zone number 68.
Good evening. Welcome, Mr. Penko. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here, and what we're looking to do is to get a letter of support from the El Paso Community College to make this minor boundary modification. And what we want to do is swap a parcel of land into the foreign trade zone for a parcel of land and take it out of the foreign trade zone. What this will do will allow Gamer Logistics to increase their business in the international trade and add jobs to our city.
Thank you very much for that explanation. I make a motion motion to approve item 1.9.
Second.
Any questions? No? Okay, Pam, we're ready.
Mr. Uxer.
Thank you so much.
Aye.
Thank you.
Ms. Solis. Aye. Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda. Aye. Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 1.9.2, the Board of Trustees will deliberate.
Make a motion to table item 1.9.2.
Second. Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Solis. Aye. Mr. Haggerty. Ms. Naheda. Aye. Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 1.10, Board Reports. Item 1.10.1, Treasurer's Report, July 31st, 2017. No action is necessary. Item 1.10.2, President's Report. Item 1.10.2.1, Dr. Sarata will update the Board of Trustees and audience on recent events that have transpired at the college.
Chair Fierro, members of the board, always a pleasure to update you on the latest activities and events at the institution. Let me begin with the Gateway to College program, which has been recognized with the Gateway Graduation Achievement Award from the Gateway to College National Network for exceeding the graduation benchmark. Ms. Cynthia Aguilar, Director of the College Readiness and Assessment, and Mr. Raul Derma, our Interim Vice President for Student Enrollment Services, would like to present the certificate to the Board of Trustees Vice Chair, Judge Haggerty, in appreciation for his support of the program. I'm sure he will come back shortly. So I also want to brief the board that a lot of kudos to Mr. Lerma as well as to Ms. Aguilar for their efforts to relocate the Gateway to College program. Obviously, the Board of Trustees, along with EPISD, made a transaction for the sale of the Hotel Dew property and the Stanton building, which meant we had to find a location, worked very diligently with EPISD, and that program will continue at Sunland Park Mall. So thank you, Mr. Lerma, you and your team for all the work. I will wait for the judge. More than 150 individuals from El Paso Community College, Texas Tech, and the community celebrated the grand opening of our new architecture building, or Building Z, at the Valle Verde campus on August 18th. This marked the culmination of the 6th year, we had an extension year, of the Title V grant, which was a 5-year grant for $5.8 million. The El Paso Community College Board of Trustees showed its commitment to the project by approving an additional $2.2 million, or approximately 40% of the construction costs of that facility, in order to ensure an appropriate learning space for the students that we serve. The event was covered by nearly all media outlets in El Paso, as well as some in Lubbock. One television news station, KVIA, was broadcasting live from the architecture building the morning of the event, extensively promoting EPCC as well as the last day of registration. Now, they started broadcasting at 5 a.m., and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to congratulate both Dean Carlos Amaya, Dr. Amaya, and Ms. Carrie Moore, Associate Vice President for External Relations, Communications, and Development in preparation for the grand opening, and thank them for being there before 5 a.m. so they could be there with all of the broadcasts. Many thanks on behalf of the board to each of you for an outstanding event.
Thank you, Don.
The El Paso Community College Diversity Program presents its 16th year of Hispanic Heritage events starting on September the 15th, which runs through October the 15th of 2017. Festivities commence with the Rio Grande kickoff on September 15th, followed by the student-faculty read-ins at all campuses the week of the 25th. Mr. John Quinones, ABC's news correspondent and What Would You Do, will join us on October the 5th, 2017, to address the students at the Valle Verde campus. Additionally, he will be the guest speaker at the Mentors Dinner, where our mentors and student scholarship winners will be recognized. More information for these events are found on our website. Ms. Olga Chavez, the chair of the Hispanic Heritage and Director of Diversity Programs, will provide an update next month, but we look forward to that beginning. A scholarship fundraiser, the Luau, sponsored by the Tears Program, Culinary Hospitality, Travel, and Cosmetology, was held on July 27th at the Culinary Arts Facility. The event consisted of entertainment, casino gaming, and traditional Hawaiian luau. The Institute of Executive Resort Services, Tears, raised $850 for student scholarships. Many thanks to the faculty that coordinated the event, which include chefs Guerra, Lugo, Rosser, Nickerson, and Diaz, Ms. Linda Cooper, our travel and hospitality, and Ms. Sonia Rosales from cosmetology. Great work by the culinary arts faculty and staff and Dean Rick Webb. The second Arts and Science Summer Research Symposium was hosted by the Trans Mountain Biology faculty, and that was held on July 31st at the Trans Mountain campus. Students competed in poster and group presentations and also had the opportunity for further collaboration through the Rise to the Challenge Bridge program between EPCC and partners UTEP and NMSU. Many thanks to Dr. Maria Alvarez, the program coordinator, and again to Dean Rick Webb for his support. The Math in New Direction Mind Explorer Camp, sponsored by Prudential, was hosted by EPCC. Over 100 area high school students attended the first ever Mind Camp for the entire week of July 10th through the 14th to take part in various math-related activities. Great work by EPCC faculty, Ms. Margie Nelson Rodriguez and Ms. Fan Chen, who coordinated the event with the support of our STS students. Thank you, Margie, Fan, Debbie Aguilera, and the STS students, and again, Dean Rick Webb. Well done, Rick, Dean. The Certificate Medical Assisting Program at EPCC received continuing accreditation of the program from the Medical Assisting Education Review Board, who will recommend continuing accreditation of the program to the Commission on Accreditation of Allied Health Education Program. Kudos and congratulations to the medical assisting faculty, Norma Ornelas and Belen Mijares, for their hard work, as well as Dean Paula Mitchell. Congratulations to Ms. Rebecca Manriquez, EMT adjunct faculty member and dual credit faculty member at EPISD CCTE, for being recognized as the Texas Health Occupations Association Teacher of the Year. Again, thank you, Dean Dr. Mitchell, for the support provided. Dr. Mitchell was reelected as one of our vice commander-in-chiefs for the Military Order of the World Wars at their national convention in Billings, Montana in August of this year. Dr. Mitchell is a past commander of the El Paso chapter and a past commander of the Department of the Rio Grande. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell, for her service to our community. The Dental Assisting Program has received approval without reporting requirements for the Commission on Dental Accreditation at their August 3rd meeting of this year. The program is accredited until the next site visit in 2023. Congratulations to the program coordinator, Maria Lulu Garduno, and to the clinical coordinator, Joy Palat, and Dean, Dr. Mitchell. Dental Hygiene Program also received approval without reporting requirements for the Commission on Dental Accreditation at the same dated meeting. Program is accredited again until that time. Congratulations to Program Coordinator Ellie Mendez, to the clinical coordinators Judy Mayfield and Deborah Staduhar, and to Dr. Mitchell. Our Faculty Development Week was held last week through the district as faculty prepared for the start of a new semester, and classes began this past Monday. We're looking forward to a wonderful semester. 2 things left, Chair. Long report. This is the busiest time of year.
No,
Professional
thank you for all your
Development Day will be held on Thursday, September the 7th. Vice presidents will be conducting workshops during the morning, and in the afternoon, I will deliver a State of the College address, which will be held here in the auditorium, and it will be broadcast. Dr. Horon and her team will live stream it to all other campuses beginning at 2 p.m. Now, before, we have a video that I know Mr. Ebert and his team would like to show, but before that, Judge Haggerty, Ms. Aguilar, our Director of the College Readiness and Assessment, and Mr. Raul Lerma, our Interim Vice President, would like to present you with a certificate of appreciation of your support for the Gateway to College program, Judge. So if you can join them at the podium, please.
I'd just like to say this is the only program in the state of Texas still in operation, and this is a great program for my kids that I have come to my court who have problems what would you say? Problems working with other fish in the pond, I would say. And Ms. Aguilar is always very, very helpful when I have a kid that really needs the help.
Oh, it's the full-time.
And she has helped, I don't know. how many maybe 50? Over the last 7 years, I've probably sent her 50 kids that would probably never graduate from high school, but it's a great program, and Dr. Strata and board members, I really appreciate you keeping this operation.
Judge, I was explaining to the team that we have, it is now located at the Sunland Park. We worked with EPISD to find a new location for it, and it is up and running. Again, kudos to Mr. Lerma. Yes. Yeah.
Well, today we're actually holding an eclipse event for the general public and for also EPC students, faculty, and staff. What we're trying to do is have people come out and partake in the science, partake in understanding and learning and enjoying this phenomenal event. What we're trying to do is we're getting these special filter telescopes that can look directly at the sun. And we have some viewing telescopes, these Mylar glasses for people to actually take a look at the sun. And we also have these other units that actually can project the solar eclipse onto a surface, whether it be on the floor or whether it be on a wall or actually on a screen. So people can actually even see how the moon is just kind of creeping up on the sun and see how it kind of starts to shadow it. And we can maybe even see, if we're lucky, some sunspots as well. So it's kind of a learning event. We're trying to get people involved at the NASA Globe project, and what NASA is looking for is citizen scientists to actually record the temperature changes and the environment, like how the skies look, so that scientists all over the world can actually take advantage of it and really do some serious science with it.
There are periods of time where the moon is tiny compared to the sun. The moon can completely block our view of the sun because it has to do with the size of our moon and the distances between the Earth, the moon, and the sun. Those things all work out just right to give us an eclipse.
We're going to get about close to anywhere between 60 to 65% coverage of the sun. So it's not a complete total eclipse, but we will definitely notice that effect. It'll be a shadowing effect. It'll start to look a little eerie. It'll look kind of eerie cool, if you will. The sun is ginormous, but the fact that the moon is at the right position between us and the sun, so when it covers it, it basically covers it completely. It's just a perfect timing and perfect distance that the moon has with us, and so that's why we can actually enjoy a full eclipse if you're in the right spot. An event like this, I mean, you're going to hear a lot of numbers that say we're not going to see this for another 100 years. There are several eclipses, but the thing is, they're not in our general area, in our general neighborhood. So the next one that we're probably going to look at is that one that passes through Dallas, actually, through Mexico, and it eventually goes through Dallas and up through the Midwest in maybe a decade or two. But the key is to really take advantage of the ones that are here in the United States, so people can actually travel to it a little bit more easily. We're about 2 minutes away from maximum. Take a look at the telescopes if you can, the projections. Kind of interesting, kind of fun. Have fun, guys.
Kudos to our faculty at the Trans Mountain campus. Well done. Thank you all so much.
Item 1.11, consent docket, includes item 3.2.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Solis,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 2.0, administration, none. Item 3.1, full-time institutionally funded actions.
Move to, move this item till after executive.
No.
Second.
No, no, 1 second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I recall my motion. Move to approve 3.1.
Doing 3.1.
Are we at 3.1?
Yeah, we're at 3.1.
Was that a second, Ms. Solis? Or-
Yes, second.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 3.3, appointment of new tenured faculty, reappointment of continuing probationary faculty, and authorization for the president to enter into written employment contracts and contract addenda for the 2017-2018 academic year with tenured and probationary faculty members.
Move to approve item 3.3.
Second.
Questions? Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 3.4, reappointment of continuing regular classified staff, professional support, and administrative staff, and authorization for the president to enter into written employment contracts and contract addenda effective September 1, 2017, with the employees listed.
Motion to table item 3.4 till after executive session?
Second.
Any question? Well, ready?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Solis,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 3.5, authorization for the president to employ part-time faculty and staff for the 2017-2018 fiscal year.
Move to approve?
Second.
Questions? Okay, Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 3.6, consideration and deliberation on the salary increases for the college employees for 2017-2018 fiscal year.
Move to approve item 3.6. Second.
Wait.
Yeah, it's that one.
Anything?
Discussion.
Questions?
Hold on, 3.6.
It says, oh, I'm sorry. I recommend, or can I amend the motion? That the salary increase be for 3% salary enhancement for college employees for 2017-2018 fiscal year.
Who second that? Ms. Nutt, okay. Second?
I don't have a problem with the 3%, but I have a problem when we get to the point where we're raising taxes. But I fully support a 3% raise, but
Was that a question, Mr. Hagan?
that's the question.
Well, I have some questions too, so,
Oh.
even though I'm making a motion too.
Go ahead, Ms. Solis.
Well, first, I don't know if we got the number, but this is to Ms. Shaughnessy, is, what's the total amount, or do we even have that, of the money that it will cost to do a 3% salary increase? And please confirm, it's across the board, includes full-time, adjunct, staff, cabinet, everybody?
Yes, ma'am. So the 3% salary increase that is recommended by the administration will cost $2.6 million.
Okay, and that is not going to, we're not in a deficit budget or anything like that?
No,
We're not
ma'am.
dipping into We're
No,
not going to
ma'am.
be behind on anything with this salary increase, right?
No, we will not.
Okay. Any other
It-
questions?
Well, I just want to, I just don't want it to down a little later when we're talking about taxes. I fully support a 3% raise, but I'm not going to be in any support of raising taxes.
Is that
And
your question, Sam?
I'm just letting everybody know. I think they all deserve a 3% raise. I think they do a great job.
Any other comments? No? Okay, Pam?
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
I can say whatever I want.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye.
Item 3.7, information items, no action is required. Item 4.1, consideration and deliberation on the approval of a 3-year contract with Transtelco Incorporated for internet services at each El Paso County Community College District campus in the amount not to exceed $989,880 over a 6-year period.
Move to approve.
Second?
Questions? Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye.
Item 4.2, consideration and deliberation on the approval of a license agreement with JourneyEd.com Incorporated for Adobe Creative Cloud in the amount not to exceed $703,308.
Move to approve.
Second?
Questions? Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Oh.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye.
Item 4.3, consideration and deliberation on the approval of contracts with several purchasing cooperative awarded vendors for the district-wide purchase of office products in the amount not to exceed $700,000, estimated total annual aggregate amount.
Move to approve 4.3, 4.4.
Second.
Any questions?
I'm sorry, Pam. Yeah.
4.4, consideration and deliberation on the approval of a contract award to USI Southwest Incorporated for commercial property, automobile, crime, general liability, educators' legal liability, and cybersecurity insurance in the amount not to exceed $534,606.
Any questions? Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye.
Item 4.5, consideration and deliberation on the renewal of a 2-year software maintenance support contract with Aleutian Higher Education for the Banner Enterprise Resource Planning ERP system in the amount of $456,506 or $228,253 per year.
Move to approve.
Second?
Questions? Okay, ready, Pam?
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye.
Item 4.6, consideration and deliberation on the approval to enter into a software and service agreement with Texas A&M University for Aleutian Degree Works in the amount not to exceed $243,870.
Move to
Move to
approve.
approve 4.6 and 4.7.
Second.
Item 4.7, consideration and deliberation on the approval to award contracts for advertising to various TV stations for fiscal year 2017, 2018 in the amount not to exceed $180,000 in the annual aggregate.
Any questions? Okay, Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 4.8, consideration and deliberation on the approval of expenditures for district-wide advertising services with several publication vendors for fiscal year 2017-2018 in the amount not to exceed $150,000 in the annual aggregate.
Move to approve?
Second?
Ms. Nahara seconded.
Yes, okay. Are there any questions?
I have a question. On this, we don't have the courier on this. Is there a reason why we don't have it, Ms. Mo?
You're asking about the West Texas County Courier? It is on there. There is addendum on there for the smaller publications that we can use our discretion to, and that is on page. But I need to look up the page number, but we will still be using them.
Just because I didn't see it, but as long as we're including it, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Pam, I think we're ready.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye. Thank you, Ms.
Ms.
Mo.
Solis.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Ms. Nahara.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 4.9, consideration and deliberation on the approval to purchase copy paper from Expedix LLC, a Veritiv company, for the instructional service centers and academic computing services labs for fiscal year 2017-2018 in the amount not to exceed $140,000.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any questions? Thank you, Pam.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Ms. Nahara.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 4.10, consideration and deliberation on the approval to award contracts for advertising to various radio stations for fiscal year 2017-2018 in the amount not to exceed $135,000 in the annual aggregate.
Motion to approve?
Second. No questions? Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Ms. Nahara.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 4.11, consideration and deliberation on the affirmation of funds expended and the approval of additional funds related to an existing contract with Xerox Corporation in the amount not to exceed $130,000.
Move to approve 4.11 and 4.12.
Second?
Item 4.12, consideration and deliberation on the approval to award contracts for outdoor advertising for fiscal year 2017-2018 in the amount not to exceed $100,000 in annual aggregate.
Any questions? No? Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Ms. Nahara.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 4.13, consideration and deliberation on the approval of a contract extension with People Admin Incorporated to continue to provide a recruitment, position, and performance management web-based software solution in the amount of $85,598.
Move to approve 4.13 and 4.14.
Second?
I have a question, Chair.
Let Pam read 4.14.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Item 4.14, consideration and deliberation on the approval of a contract renewal with Innovative Interfaces Incorporated for the annual maintenance of the college's library system in the amount of $64,295.
Thank you, Ms. Solis.
As to item 4.13, Dr. Hidon, was this, and Dr. Graham, was this from last month? Did we ask for more information on how we could better improve it, or if there was a function in this software to, I guess, notify applicants applying to
Very good.
be employed here at the college? And that's this, right?
That is correct. Ms. Solis and Ms. Shaughnessy will respond to that information.
I will be glad to. And just for clarification, the purpose of this action is to extend this contract until such time we are doing a new procurement process,
Okay.
a CSP.
All right.
But to answer your question, there is a mechanism in the current system to inform our applicants if they've been unsuccessful. So they do receive an email that is generated through the system, and HR is very diligent. For a while, we were having a little glitch, but it has been resolved, and so now the applicants or the unsuccessful applicants are notified when they are not successful, and they're encouraged to reapply again with El Paso Community College.
Ms. Chauncey, I believe that we also had some concerns with the applicants not being notified that their information had been received, or that just
Right, just,
the lack of communication.
So the applicants are notified that their application has been filed, and they are encouraged to look in the system to see where it's at. The thing is, right now, the feature just basically shows that it is in progress. We don't really release some of that confidential information online.
But they do get information.
But they do get, they
process
do
is
have
different.
they have a way to find out in the system if it is in progress, and they are notified at the end of the process. Now, we are looking at the specs. We have actually specs that are almost ready to go for a CSP process. So we'll be conducting that. It'll take about 9 months for us to implement something. And this is no pressure for our new Executive Director of HR, Dr. Andrew Pena, is in the room to join us. And certainly, he already knows that this is going to be what's going to be expected in this
Maybe we
next
should
year.
be grilling him.
no, well, is this, Ms. Shaughnessy, is this also, will it be tweaked or reviewed when a person's is lacking information or lacking documents? What goes out to the individual that says, you know, you're missing this, or does it not accept the application because there's missing documents?
Actually, if I believe, and maybe Mr. Yanez or Dr. Pena can correct me, but I believe there is a mechanism by which the applicant has a week to turn in all the documents that have not been turned in.
But are they notified through this?
I don't know if they're
software program?
notified.
Because,
Yes,
I mean,
they are
again,
notified.
this is the best place to start. We also want it to be
Yes.
the best place to apply and, you know, and
And-
not have it be so hard. And that's my
Yes.
understanding is that, yes, there's a system in place, there's software, but it's really difficult to know other than, oh, your application's in progress.
The application process itself needs to be tweaked, because if it's taking somebody 2.5 hours and this is a professional individual that can't get through the application process, it's too cumbersome. Something has to be tweaked to make it easier.
So since the current system we have has been implemented, we're talking about 2006, and then 2009 with some enhanced module, things have changed. Technology has changed, and so the current specs are going to be reviewed to make sure that it's going to see, you know, what kind of better customer service we can provide our applicants.
If not, we need to look for a new company.
I'm sorry?
If not, we need to look for a new
Abs-
company that can provide the,
Well,
you know,
actually, the CSP process is going to be
Yeah.
providing that opportunity for us to evaluate any proposals. Absolutely.
So the
we're going to
concerns
be.
being shared right now are timely. Mr. Gallardo can make sure that they're in the specs for the RFP.
Absolutely.
RFQ.
I have a question. Did I understand you correctly to say that this system actually notifies an applicant immediately upon application?
The system notifies when the application has been received.
Okay, I
And
have
then-
personal knowledge that that does not happen. Okay, so we can check it up later, but I can give you the name of the individual that was still waiting and only knew that their application had been received when they found out by being published in social media that somebody else was selected. So not only were they not notified that their application accepted, they were not notified that they were not successful.
So, Mr. Axer, it is very possible that this happened at the time, during the time frame that some changes were made to the system, and there was a glitch which prevented for those automatic emails to go out to the applicants. But now I have been assured that this has been corrected, and I've talked to people that have been actually notified that either they were not the successful candidates or otherwise. So my understanding, I've been assured today that this actually has been corrected. But we certainly will monitor the situation, and we encourage anyone that is hearing this conversation, if it's not happening, we certainly want to know, because we do need to correct it until such a time we have a system that is actually addressing what you're talking about.
And your cell numbers?
And so the request to extend, to do it's a request to extend this contract for one more year.
Yes, ma'am.
At which point then, we'll put it out to bid.
That's right.
We just couldn't do it right now. We had to go and extend the contract.
Correct, yeah.
because-
Well, even if we do it right now, we're still talking about a 9 months implementation.
Right, okay.
And then, of
Why
course, we
so
want to have a
long?
system. Well, I guess because we're talking here about understanding the system, making sure that we have trained the staff to understand if we have enhanced features. We want to make sure the staff understands how it's going to run. It may not take 9 months, Dr. Graham. We just kind of want to be safe because this is an automated system and we don't want to go back to a paper-based system.
Well, if we don't know it'll take 9 months, or we don't know if it will, or we should have a better estimate when we're spending this kind of money dealing with personnel matters. We should have a better estimate on timing as to when we can tell people that it will be available, or tell us why it's not.
Yes, sir. And we are taking that into consideration. And certainly, again, no pressure to Dr. Pena. We're going to make sure that this happens on a very timely basis.
Can we approve it for 6 months instead of a year?
Well, I guess you can, but I would feel more comfortable if you went with a full year because, again, it's just a question of, give us the time to make sure that our staff is trained. This covers several
Would you
modules.
feel more comfortable saying up to a year or no more than a year?
I'm just thinking if we're saying a year, does that mean that we're locked into this company for the full year, even if the service is not that good, obviously from all the concerns that we've heard, versus just going for a shorter period of time and either the company delivers what we need or we find a different company?
Mr. Guerrero?
Yeah, I was going to.
If the process was quicker, could we terminate the contract in 6 months, 4 months, a year?
I wish I could answer that. It's something that I'm going to have to look into. It might be an entire 1 year. That's the only option. We may not be able to go month to month, but I can certainly look into that.
What happens if we just get rid of it altogether and we start over and put it out to bid?
And we don't have any applications in the meantime?
Yeah, we- there's no
something in the
system.
Yeah, we don't want to go back to a paper-based
If it's
system.
not working, what difference does it make?
Well, it is working because we are
No,
tracking
it's not.
thousands of
It's not.
applications.
It-
Is
I mean,
it,
it'd be
is
better
it,
off if they just wrote down, hi, my name is so-and-so, I have a master's degree in math, I want to teach at EPCC, and drop it off at Dr. Serrata's office.
The old-fashioned way. The thing is,
I mean,
it's, obviously, this is a priority for the board, only because everything is becoming so automated. There's zero face-to-face person, HR, here apply, and we know it's not working. And we know, I think from the last meeting, I think we were told that there has been, slip-ups as far as people being notified. And that's just, for me, it's unacceptable, professionally, because of courtesy, that we owe this to individuals that are attempting to seek employment here. So I'm just, it needs to be fixed. I think you guys know that. And I just want some assurance that it will be a priority for HR.
How about if we do
Absolutely.
this? How about if we approve it the way it is, but if Mr. Gallardo can find out if we can get out of the contract sooner, we would take that option.
so I was just reminded by Dr. Hiron, so thank you, Dr. Hiron, that we also look at running those systems parallel to make sure that we don't have a discontinuity of service. So it is very customary anytime that you do engage into go into a new system, that you run parallel with the old system, just to kind of fix any kind of glitches that appear. And so that's probably the comfort level we would like to have, because you're talking here about thousands of applications that go through the system. We're talking about performance evaluations that are done on the system. And the other thing is job descriptions that are also done on the system.
Right.
So I certainly hear your concern, and we can assure you that we're going to move very quickly on this. Again, no pressure for Dr.
But we're
Pena.
talking about $85,598 to extend a contract. So
Sure.
normally when you extend a contract, it's because you're happy with the services being provided with that contract. There are no glitches. And so we are now been made aware that there have been some glitches, and we are just asking, we're doing our due diligence to get a program that will work and that will communicate more effectively.
Are the people,
We hear you.
are the company representatives here?
And I don't believe they are.
See, that shows the level of interest they have.
Well, in all fairness to them, I don't believe we asked them to join us this evening because
You
this is.
shouldn't have to if they're looking at the agenda.
So here it is more an issue of to give us time to conduct a process because we agree with you, the technology really has changed tremendously. We need to make sure we do provide the level of service that you are all seeking that should be afforded our candidates. Absolutely, there is no doubt about that. It's just that at the same time, this is a process that should have been conducted a couple of years ago, but because of all the different requirements we've been faced with in HR, the transition to a new director. So there's been a lot of work that has been in HR that has kind of taken them away from completing this project. So now we are committed.
Who's in charge
to
of
finish.
HR, Joseph?
Dr. Pena.
Dr. Pena is our newly appointed
Come
director.
on up here, Dr. Payton, and tell me what the heck's going on. What is the problem?
You just got the
And
job.
how long have you been HR director?
How long have you been on the job? sir?
Welcome, Dr.
Since August the 9th.
Have you found your office yet?
Yes, Chair
Have you
Fierro.
applied for a job through our
How
through our
did you
system?
get this job? Did you use this program?
Yes, sir.
Did you apply on the system?
I applied on this system, and Chair Fierro, members of the board, President Serrata, I can tell you with all honesty, I've worked with two systems before, and yeah, there are going to be glitches, but the process that when applicants apply for a job, they are notified that their application has been received. Until the position, in essence, is actually acted on or evaluated and filled, you have a status of in progress. Applicants are encouraged to go and check the status of their applications. In some cases, they don't. And as a result, they keep wondering what's happened, but the information is there. Once a position closes and the applicants are notified the position is closed, and then you get into the evaluation of the applicants, you get into the interview and the selection of the candidate. And once a selection is made and the board approves it, then the applicants who applied for the position are notified. And keep in mind, people admin, along with any other type of applicant tracking position management system, operates on the same principle. And it's in some cases, it's up to the hiring officials in some cases, or to, in essence, deselect, and that could be one of the issues that we can probably deal with, because in some cases, especially for part-time and adjunct, the pools are left open for a long period of time, and positions are filled as they come open. So as a result, you have applicants who are waiting, who are applied for part-time jobs or adjunct jobs, who are waiting for the position to be filled. That's a mechanism we're going to have to correct with a new system. The proposal you have before you is just to extend the current contract, because otherwise, if we don't, we're going to be stuck with a system of having people apply with paper, and as a result, that's going to create a lot more issues.
Okay, but the issue that you just identified,
Yes.
can that be corrected within the next 12 months with this particular system?
With this system we have now,
Yes.
keep in mind that we're on a system that's at least 2 versions behind. The
That's
system.
our point.
That's the problem.
Is that a yes or
Well,
no?
They'll search
but
for
still,
another one.
I mean, it's a system that right now also has a capability to notify applicants. So whether we move up 2 versions, we still have the capabilities to do it now.
And how do you ensure that it is notifying applicants? And also, that's one question. My second question is, if I were to apply and I was waiting and waiting, even though I'm dutifully checking in the status, is there something that tells me I'm not selected for an interview?
Well, that action doesn't happen until the position, in essence, is evaluated and the people are selected.
I
So in other
understand,
words,
if I'm not selected, does this system shoot out an email and say, thanks, but no thanks, you've not been selected?
the only way that will happen, Board Member Solis, is if we have the ability to deselect unqualified candidates from the get-go. So in other words, if we have an applicant who applies for a position, they get their application received, they're acknowledged, and then they wait through the process, then one process that we could do, in essence, is encourage to deselect those that automatically do not qualify. So then you're only looking at the pool of qualified candidates versus the pool of everybody. So they can be notified that they're deselected by not qualifying for a particular position.
It seems to me that the big central part of this is the communication between the college and an applicant. And we have the professional responsibility to do that. And it looks like we are taking the position that we're taking minimal position. you're saying that we're qualified. I have personal knowledge that we have not contacted. Now, if it was a communications that glitch, that we didn't get it, then I'm wondering how come the parallel system didn't catch it.
I think
Okay,
he
so
was.
it didn't work. So in other words, we need to have the communication going, number one.
Now, Dr. Peña, so you're saying at some point, it's up to the applicant to go on and,
Yes.
and follow up themselves to find out if they've moved on to the next point?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I use the system.
Yeah.
I check periodically. You know, and here's the other side. If you have a system that, and especially if the process to hire somebody is long, then they're going to continue, even if we have an automated system that says, hey, you know what, your application is still in process, still being reviewed, versus I can go in and check myself. So it really accomplishes the same thing.
Right.
No, I was just asking, once it's been determined that they are not either qualified or at the get-go, or they didn't pass the next step for an interview, how
Right.
is that communicated to an applicant?
Okay, Ms. Solis, once the position is closed, then they're notified the position is closed.
Okay,
Once the position, in essence, has been filled, and the board, all of you have made a selection on a selectee, then all of the applicants who've applied for a position are notified that that position has been filled.
And I think what you did is you described the ideal situation, what the software should be doing and how
Right.
it should be working. But I think if we give you the opportunity to get on the job for a few weeks, you're gonna find that that's not really what's happening in some cases. And understandably, you just got the position, so yes, ideally, that's how the system should be working. I agree with you, but I think what you're hearing from us is frustration that that's not happening the way it should. But we certainly look forward to you tweaking it, checking it out, and finding out, you know, how we can improve the processes, because it's not delivering the expected results.
And Dr. Graham, and I agree, I mean, this is not the perfect system. And if there's improvements we need to make, looking at other systems, we will certainly do that. Because our job is to ensure that the applicant gets as Mr. Uxer mentioned, a good impression of the college when they apply.
Now, Dr.
And that's
Peña,
our goal.
would you follow up with Dr. Serrata in regards to, you heard the concerns.
Yes.
Now, whether you and your team can tweak it to the point where the board envisions the process being, would you mind following up with Dr. Serrata, and that way he can share with us?
Chair Fierro, let me suggest I'll work with Dr. Peña and Vice President Shaughnessy, and we will bring to the board an update at the November meeting to let you know where we are in evaluating the current system as well as looking at additional systems. Let me clarify some points. When we say a parallel system, it is, we only have one system running right now. If we choose to go with another system, another vendor, that is when we will run parallel systems. We'll bring up a new one, continue running the old one until we have confidence in the new one that it's meeting the objectives that every board member has made clear to us. But I will work with Dr. Peña and Vice President Shaughnessy. We will bring to the board, and Ms. Payne will list for me an update at the November board meeting. That will give us enough time to continue to evaluate the current system as well as to explore with Dr. Iron and her team any additional systems that meet the requirements that have been made out very clear to us this evening.
And Dr. Peña, this is just part of your initiation.
My question also, Doctor, why are we two systems behind? Why aren't we up to date?
That might be for Dr.
But I think Ms.
Shaughnessy.
Shaughnessy answered
Yeah.
that question.
Yeah.
There were some issues in that department we had to work through, and this was
Transitions.
not a priority at the time, and so, but Dr. Peña's here.
It is a priority, Mr. Chairman. We're talking about employees at this college.
It is a priority, and that's why Dr. Peña and Ms. Shaughnessy and Dr. Strata are going to address it.
Well, I hope so. I just hope that in your new position that you don't come to me and tell me we're 3 or 4 programs behind.
No, Mr.
I mean,
Hagen,
I'm
and
pretty
members of the
tight with
board.
the money, but
He is
when
very
it comes to
tight.
this stuff,
But
we
not
want to
for
make sure
this.
that, I mean, we're supposed
I
to be
understand.
the elite higher education
That's
facility
correct.
here in
We
El
are.
Paso. And you're
Yes, sir.
telling me we're running a system that isn't working.
But with that technology, we're behind every day. It moves faster than we
So
can
as
keep
of,
up with it.
as of right now, we need to approve something, because we have to have a system. We
Yes,
can't
sir.
go
We
to
have a
paper
motion, a
pencil.
second. Thank you, Dr.
I
Peña.
made a motion.
Chair Fierro, members of the board, President
Pam,
Sata, thank you.
we have a motion, a second.
Welcome to E EPCC.
We have a motion, a second. Please call a question.
And This is for both items 4.13 and 4.14.
Oh, yes.
Did we?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Solis,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty,
Aye.
Ms. Nahara,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 4.15, consideration and deliberation on the acceptance of the 2017 certified appraisal roll prepared by the Central Appraisal District.
Motion approved.
Second.
Ms. Shaughnessy has asked that I read the order that accepts the appraisal roll. We
Well,
have
if
to
Ms.
go through.
Shaughnessy asks, of course, please.
Thank you. Whereas the Board of Trustees of said district desire that the appraisal roll for the district for the 2017 tax year be accepted and approved, therefore be it ordered by the Board of Trustees of the El Paso County Community College District that the appraisal roll for the district for the 2017 tax year be accepted as approved by the 2017 Appraisal Review Board and certified by the Chief Appraiser as follows. Net taxable value, $41,101,169,398.
Any questions? Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Solis,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty,
Aye.
Ms. Nahara,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 4.16, consideration and deliberation on the adoption of the 2017-2018 operating budget.
Make a motion that we approve our operating budget to be $138,619,311. $619,311.
Question. Is that budget?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Now, question. What, that budget that you just quoted, what tax rate was that at?
It's under item 4.17.
That has nothing to do with that right now.
Yeah.
Huh?
This right now is,
Well, if I
Doesn't take into
vote for
effect.
this budget, and then I vote against the tax rate, is this including?
Yeah, that's what it is.
You have to be transparent here.
so what is it?
We gotta let the people know what we're doing. This budget that Mr. Fierro is voting for right now is with a 4% tax increase. Is that correct, Mr. Fierro?
Yes.
Wait,
Okay.
wait.
But we can-
That is to let me know as a board member if I should vote for it or vote against it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions?
Yes, I want the public also to understand because of the transparency. With a 4% tax increase, Mrs. Shaughnessy, what are we at with our 15-cent tax?
Well,
cap?
that's an item that we'll get to at
Well,
item
This is
4.17.
all involved in this item, and I have a right to ask the question. If we add a 4% tax, how far do we get to that 15-cent cap?
So with a 4% tax increase over the effective tax rate of $13.6190, the tax rate would be 14.1638 cents, and we have a cap of 15 cents.
Okay, so now we have a governor in Texas who calls a special session in February. And the Texas legislature says you can't go more than 4%, or they decide we're not going to pay for insurance anymore. What are we going to have to do as a college if we can't go back and raise the funds to cover the shortfall?
Well, the 4% increase right now would actually be within those parameters should the legislature decrease the rollback rate to 4% above the effective tax rate.
Okay?
So
And
we
what
would
happens
be-
if they decide not to pay for our insurance anymore? Which
Decide
they've
not
done
to
in the
pay for our
past.
health insurance?
Yes.
Well, I guess we would have to look at increasing
Do we
our
look
health
to the
insurance
left, do
budget.
we look to the right and two people get fired because we can't pay their salaries anymore?
Or the employees pay their insurance. I think we discussed this over and over in our budget meetings.
Well, I think
have
we
a-
should discuss it with the taxpayer, and that's why we are here as
Sir, the
board
meetings
members.
was- the
I was
meeting was
elected to
open to the
represent the
public.
taxpayer,
Yes. And you
and I
should-
think they have the right to know what we're talking
And you're
about.
And
absolutely
they
right.
have the
And
right
you-
to
and-
be at that meeting.
And you shared your comments, and that's very fair, and thank you for sharing them.
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Solis.
So, the first question is, I thought the administration was requesting that the board consider and deliberate a 6% increase. So I need the chair but now I'm hearing the chair moving for a budget, adopting a budget that includes a 4% effective tax increase. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Second, if either Dr. Sarata or Ms. Shaughnessy could, for the community's edification purposes, explain or justify this tax increase and why now instead of a year from now. And then third, should we adopt a tax increase or approve it, my understanding is there will be public meetings. By law, we're required to have 2 public meetings for taxpayers and public to come and express their concerns, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Let me begin, Ms. Solis and Judge Haggerty, and then I'll defer to Vice President Shaughnessy as well. So with regards, Judge Haggerty, to the 4% that was part of the budget motion that the chair went forward, so that would put the tax rate at 0.141638. The law that both the House and the Senate were looking at was to reduce the taxes. The House side was looking at a 5% max, and the Senate side was looking at a 4%. So this would be within that law. Now, if in February, if there is, the law did not pass, so the current law is still 8%. To answer your question of the 0.141, that would be just under 6% away from the cap of 15 cents. So that's one of your concerns, which I certainly recognize. And if there is a special session called and both the House and Senate look at a compromise once again of between 4 and 5%, that would be effective September 1st, 2018. At which point then there would be a limit of either that 4 or 5%, which even the gap between what it would be and the cap would continue to be above what that limit would be. When we looked at this, we looked at it with regards to all factors that come into play. We looked at the tuition increase. The board asked us to look at a 2-year tuition so that students could plan accordingly, and we maintained that. We also looked at, while the cut from state appropriations was minimized, it was still a cut. Last session in 15, we were cut $3.2 million in state appropriations. This session, we were cut $636,000 or $318,000 per year of the biennium. We came to this recommendation with a concern that the rollback rate may change in the future, Judge Haggerty and members of the board. In addition, I'll remind the board, I know how seriously each of you takes tax increase of any kind. This board has approved, to my knowledge, 3 taxes in the last 12 years, 3 tax increase in the last 12 years. I know that no one at the table or on this podium takes it lightly. We take this very, very seriously. We're also looking towards the future as we continue with the master plan and implementing the new buildings and in preparation for GASB 75. I'll let Ms. Shaughnessy touch on any item that I may have missed, but we certainly understand the brevity of this decision.
Now, Ms. Shaughnessy, if we don't raise taxes, we can still give a 3%
Yes,
raise
sir.
to all the employees and still have enough funds in our budget
Yes, sir.
for the next
For the next year.
For the next year.
For the next year, because I would like to also, based on the conversation we had earlier, I would like to remind the board that we did have a biennium reserve that we had projected, that we had included in the budget. And thanks to that biennium reserve that we've been able to build, we've been able to give the salary enhancement to our employees. Now, with that said, we would not have, with the budget that is no tax increase, we would not be able to recreate that biennium reserve that we've been so lucky to have to kind of help us out, weather out any kind of financial crisis.
And the reserve is made up of funds that we get from the taxpayer, is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
So the biennium reserve here would be created from that increase in taxes.
I just want everybody to know that we can pass our budget, give you a 3% raise and not raise taxes.
Chair, I'm going to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
I think we need to put a little bit of perspective. If you look at your tax bill, first of all, you'll see that we're the lowest tax rate in the county. Okay, we have, the county's our taxing district. Average house is roughly $130 a year, which means that we're like talking in the neighborhood of $10 a month. So this tax increase we're talking about, if we want to go from 2% to the max rate, which nobody will talk about, is 8%, okay, we're talking in the neighborhood of an increase on the average house of anywhere from about 75 cents a month to maybe $1.50 a month, okay? So we're not talking about laying tremendous burden. Yeah, we're talking about the word rate and increase in tax, but what are we trying to get? What are we trying to do? We're trying to preserve what quality education, and we look at everything that's coming up, and what we're trying to do is plan for the future. So in any case, we're the cheapest thing there is around for a quality education, people to better themselves, okay? So we're not talking about raising 10, 20, or $50 a month, or something like that. We're talking about in the neighborhood of $1 a month per average household. So any way you look at it, we're not putting an onerous budget, position on people.
Thank you, Mr. Uxer. And I want to remind, Ms. Solis brought up a good point. It's just my motion, my opinion, to select the 4%. If the board feels that the 6% is where we need to move towards, this motion can die and we can go on to the next motion, to the 6%.
So if we want to say go to 6%, we need to vote no for this motion?
Correct.
And it was the administration's recommendation to,
go to
again,
6%.
for the justifications or for what Dr. Sutter just mentioned, combined with Ms. Shaughnessy, to have a bigger sort of biennium reserve for down the road, to do a 6%.
Ms. Shaughnessy,
But that's on another item.
yes, yeah.
For,
No, we have to approve the
Or-
budget at 139
no,
million.
but the 6% is on the other item.
But
Right,
it
but we
came
have
out
to, we'd have
because-
to make, the motion would have to be for the 139,738,000. But, Ms. Shaughnessy, would you please give us a quick synopsis on what we've done with that biennium reserve fund this time? I mean, we're putting it into a building that we're added an extra floor to. I mean, we're not
What
just.
is used for that?
Yeah, the money's been put to great use, and we wouldn't be able to do all these services for students had we not had this fund available.
So certainly the biennium reserve, when not used in the budget, contributes to budget surplus at the end of the fiscal year, which is put back into our fund balance, which is, as we had discussed before, is extremely important to the well-being of this institution. Promotes fiscal, obviously, stability, financial stability, goes a long way when it comes down to our bond ratings. Our bond rating agencies are extremely cognizant of how difficult it is to balance your taxes and your tuition when the state of Texas continues to defund us, even though we have increasing enrollment since 2011. So the challenges we have weathered over the years has been thanks to those budget surpluses we've had in our budget. But that at the end of the fiscal year, when that biennium reserve is not used, it goes into the fund balance. We also, our bond rating agencies look at our ability to generate revenues, and still, as Mr. Uxer mentioned, we're still the lowest tax rate of the major taxing entities. We are still the best value for our students. And the bond rating agencies do look at our ability to generate those revenues to promote a fund balance that is going to give us cheaper rates on our bonds.
And when the bond companies look at our rate, and we're at the max of 15 cents, and we have no capacity to raise taxes, that affects our bond rating. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And that's the reason why we were recommending anywhere from 4 to 6% to give us a little bit of room to the 15 cents cap.
I'm telling you, you're getting too close to the max, and this is going to come back and haunt us. And I
Okay.
want to be the first to say, I told you so.
Any other questions? Okay, Pam, I think we're ready for the question, please.
Mr. Uxer.
All right, to be clarified, we're voting on a bond issue at 4%?
Yes, for the budget of
Okay, I
138,619.
vote no with the caveat that I'm looking for the 6%.
Ms. Solis. I'm going to vote no with the caveat of voting for a 6% increase.
Mr. Haggerty?
No.
Ms.
Aye.
Nahara? Aye. Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye. Motion dies. Okay. Mr. Uxer? Oh, here.
Well, wait, no,
Okay.
but then why would we do 4.17 then? I mean, why would we do 4.1?
Okay. Then I make a motion that we approve the operating budget at, based on a 6% tax increase of $139,738,825.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, Pam, I think we're ready?
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
No.
Ms. Nahara?
No.
Dr. Graham?
No.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye. It's 1, 2,
Did
Aye.
Maybe we should
What do we do?
Well,
I suggest we go to
okay. Table that item, please.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, my motion is to table item 4.16, table item 4.18.
Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
At this point, if we haven't approved either one, what kind of pressure does that put on us, the college, Ms. Shaughnessy?
Well, we'll need to approve one this evening, won't we?
So the operating budget has to be approved by August 31st. The tax rate itself has to be approved by September 30th.
Can we just make the motion to approve the budget and then deal with the tax rate separate?
But we have options.
The budget is based on the tax
Correct.
rate increase, so it's included.
Okay, you know what, don't table. I'll make a motion that we consider $138,619,311, which
Second.
is the 4%.
Second?
And that's back at 4%?
Any other questions?
I'm sorry,
back to the
clarify
floor.
for us?
We're back at 4.
Yeah, we went back to the 4%, $138,619,311.
Can I ask you?
Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
No.
Ms. Nahara?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
No.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye.
Motion passes.
My computer died.
Item 4.17, consideration and deliberation on the adoption of the 2017-2018 auxiliary fund budget.
Move to approve?
Second.
Okay, any questions? No. Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
What item is it?
4.17.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Nahara?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye.
4.18, consideration and deliberation on a proposal to increase the effective tax
By
rate
4%.
by 4% for the 2017-2018 fiscal year.
Ms. Shaughnessy, will you please correct or tell us the effective tax rate of?
So that would mean based on the effective tax rate of 13.6190 cents per $100 valuation, a 4% to that effective tax rate would yield a tax rate of 14.1638 cents per $100 valuation. But this is for you to consider. It is not to adopt a tax rate.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Questions? Okay, Pam, we're ready?
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
No.
Ms. Nahara?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye.
May I ask that the board set up the public hearings, please? You do have a calendar, that is included in the board agenda, that was also included in the budget presentation in terms of, we had proposed 2 days, September 6th and September the 13th, as the 2 public hearings, starting at 6 p.m.
That was my motion, please.
Yes, sir.
She just read it. Second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Shaughnessy. Ms. Solis.
Okay. So we need to go ahead and vote on the public hearings, Josette?
Yes. Ms. Shaughnessy had just read it. I made it a motion. Ms. Solis seconded it. So we're,
And it was a.
I don't think it was
September
necessarily a
6th and
motion.
13th?
It was just a reminder that you needed to set the dates for the public hearings at this meeting.
And it's your recommendation that the first public hearing should be held on September 6, 2017 at 6 p.m. here at the Administrative Service Center, and that the second public hearing should be held on September 13, 2017, 6 p.m. at the ASC, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so noted.
stand corrected.
Okay, we'll move on. Item 5.1, consideration and deliberation on the approval of expenditures with various vendors to purchase building materials, supplies, and/or services as needed for the district for fiscal year 2017, 2018.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Questions? Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Nahara?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 6.1, consideration and deliberation on the acceptance of a grant award from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board under the Carl D. Perkins Basic Grant for Career and Technology Education Funding for fiscal year 2017, 2018 in the amount of $678,462.
Motion to approve 6.1 and 6.2.
Second.
Item 6.2, consideration and deliberation on the acceptance of a grant award from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board in the amount of $48,228. Questions?
No.
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Nahara?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 6.3, consideration and deliberation on the approval of the restated and amended Northwest Early College High School interlocal agreement.
Move to approve.
Second. Mr. Smith, what are we amending on the contract?
So each year, the coordinating board and TEA update the blueprint for the various early colleges, and so this brings in Northwest Early College in line with the latest blueprints. Anything related to, from student learning outcomes have been incorporated in there, expectations as far as cost-sharing agreements for faculty have been incorporated in. The actual name of the Early College High School has been changed to Northwest Early College High School, so things like that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Any other questions? Pam?
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Nahara?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 7.1, consideration and deliberation on the approval of continuing education tuition rates for new courses.
Motion to approve 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3.
Second.
Dr. Graham.
Hey, I read my agenda.
Item 7.2, consideration and deliberation on the approval of continuing education tuition rates for revised courses. Item 7.3, consideration and deliberation on the approval of a proposed resolution to request grant funding from the Texas Governor's Office to purchase active shooter rifle resistant vests.
Okay, any questions?
Yeah, just real quick.
Yes, sir?
Mr. Lerma, is he here?
Yes.
I guess, I'm just curious what rifle resistant really means.
Yep.
I'll refer that to Chief, the expert.
You're not asking for a demonstration, are you?
Yeah, good question.
What caliber, what?
Good evening, everybody.
Chief, welcome.
The vests are rifle resistant because they are able to resist the high velocity generated by the firing of a bullet through a rifle. Whereas the normal vests, they don't, you know, they truly don't. It's a thicker armor, especially designed to resist the impact of a rifle bullet. Okay.
7.62 AK-47?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You know, pretty much anything except the armor-piercing ammunition.
Well, you look at what's being used around today, and it's the AK-47 or the 5.56, and if it can handle that, then that's what we're looking at.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Sir, what, was this money made available, or are you just hoping that they'll?
Yes. No, the money has already been made available. All that is needed right now is for you to approve it, and we'll hit the send button, and it's done. Okay. So,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Pam, you ready?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Ms. Nahara.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 8.0, community service, none. At this time, the Board of Trustees will go into executive session. The board may conduct an executive or closed session pursuant to the Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for one or more of the following reasons. One, consultation with its attorney to seek or receive legal advice or consultation regarding pending or contemplated litigation or for any purpose authorized by law. Two, discussion about the value or transfer of real property. Three, discussion about a prospective gift or donation. Four, consideration of specific personnel matters. Five, discussion about security personnel or devices. Or six, discussion of certain economic development matters. The board may also announce that it will go into executive session on any item listed on this agenda if the subject matter is permitted for a closed session by provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Any vote regarding these items shall be taken in open session. Time is 8:35 p.m. and the board is reconvened in regular session. Item 3.4, would you like me to reread it?
That would be nice, thank you.
Item 3.4, reappointment of continuing regular classified staff, professional support, and administrative staff, and authorization for the president to enter into written employment contracts and contract addenda effective September 1, 2017 with the employees listed.
Motion to approve, second?
Call a question?
Who approved?
Brian, I second.
Okay. Are we waiting for anyone else? Or
Then we're waiting for your question, please.
Oh, okay. Ms. Solis. Aye. Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
You're black.
Next meeting is scheduled for September 6, 4:30 p.m. And regular board meeting September 21st at 5. Finance Committee. Finance Committee. And then September 21st, board meeting at 5:30 p.m. Motion to adjourn. Yeah,
Who's gonna be
we already said it.
It's on
Not me.
Okay, motion adjourned?
Dr. Graham, you're not going to Parkland?
No, and neither is,
Ms. Nahen?
Ms. Nahen.
You all can just be SISD supporters.
It's the Esleta and
Our
Parkland.
meeting's adjourned by unanimous consent?
Water, no. Yes.
Yes.
No, those are good.